how many of you, and you could just do a show of hands, have had the experience at some point in life where you know what it is to feel completely lost and unguided? Like, show of hands, how many of you just know what that feels like? Yeah, I think every man at some point in his life, particularly in the modern world, has gone through that, because there has been a break in this connection to legacy and to mentoring, because we as men, our historic roles are supposed to be man as mentor. So I grew up in an environment where, for me, I just feared everyone and the world to look like a scary, ugly place. And then this man bounces into my life saying he's my brother. I'm like, how the fuck? So he tells me the whole story. He's a lot older than me. So I'm 16, he's 38. And we connect, we are out there doing stuff together. He's exposing me to things. It turns out that I come from a very large family. I had no idea. He really became like this one ray of light in a world for me that just felt like it was filled with darkness. And we developed this most amazing relationship. So for the first time in my life, I experienced like real brotherhood. Like, I'm no longer alone. And on top of that, there's guidance. Yeah, I took it really hard when he died all of a sudden. And I'd lost my mentor and I'd lost my brother. For 9 years, I went through this ongoing like depression ritual. He died September 14th, 1990. But of course, I carried a hell of a lot of guilt, because the last conversation we had was our one and only fight. And then when I planned to see him, he died the day before. For 9 years, I never replaced the mentoring. I never replaced that experience of brotherhood. I never replaced that deep connection, that guidance, none of it. So I was still that lost 17-year-old well into my 20s. Until one day, somebody gave me this idea. You can't think of solutions when you're drowning. And the metaphor that I always use for it is, when your head is underwater and you have that experience of drowning, there's just no possibility. That at the very least, you gotta be able to get your head above water and look around to then see land, and then you know the direction in which to swim in. Person tells me, well, it sounds like you just didn't give a dying man his last wish. And I thought, it's really that fucking simple? And the person said, why don't you go to the cemetery this time and bring your brother finally that pack of cigarettes that he wanted? And what was really interesting is that while at first I questioned it, is it really that simple? Of course it is. And especially for us men, most of the time doing something physical is that ritual unloading that we usually need. I got to the cemetery kind of late, so I had to climb over a wall and a gate because it was already closed. And this time it was radically different. This time when I found his grave, after 9 years, I fell to my knees. Like, there was just a real unloading. And I'd realized that this would be the last time, and that this was gonna be the final goodbye. And I pulled out a pack of cigarettes. Now again, I'm a health freak. I smoked half a pack of cigarettes, which I never thought I'd do in my life. And you know something? It felt fucking awesome to just do that with him, because that was the experience and the frame of reference that I had. And then I took what was left of the pack, I slipped it behind the tombstone. I put my hand on the tombstone. I gave my final goodbye, and that was it.